Content warning. Today's episode of Pop Culture covers topics that may be disturbing for some viewers or listeners. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hello, my lovely hummingbirds. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. It's been 2 weeks or so. I was taking some much needed rest besides trying to figure out the best way to just bring forward election results and everything going on. I was tired. Your girl is still tired, mind you, but hi. If you're new or returning, this is the series on this channel where we do some character-inspired makeup looks, topic-inspired makeup looks, as well as discussing the latest of what has been going on in the world when it comes to music, media, movies, entertainment, popular culture, news, entertainment, world as a whole. But it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since Mr. Hot Cheeto got reinstated as president, and as the entirety of cunty TikTok is concerned, nobody is more pissed about this than Melania. So here's the thing, right? And the irony. So this is my PJ shirt. Yes, I am still in my PJ shirt. Today's episode is going to be a little different. I am going to do my makeup as we have this conversation because I have to get ready for work. So there's that. But yeah, that's really the only different part. I'm just gonna be talking to you and you're gonna see the little like this is what I'm using as we discuss the results of everything in the What's Poppin' section of this episode before we get into today's topic of conversation, which is the Parentified Daughter. And something in me just breathed. It just went, okay. So, before we begin all of that though, I do want us to take a moment of silence for the lives that we have lost since the last time I saw y'all. Alan Rakins, Judith Jameson, and Tony Todd. Please join me now for this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in that moment of silence for those that we have lost, not only in the world of music, media, popular culture, and entertainment, but also for lives lost due to conflicts around the world. Now, the universe is displeased with these election results. And I know I was on here, my lovely hummingbirds, being like, I can't tell you who to vote, but like, I can't do 4 more years of the Hot Cheeto man. And here we are. And that's an insult to Chester Cheeto. But here we are. So if you guys are not tuning in from the United States, hello. This is Pop Culture. It is slightly chaotic. We just had our elections for the next presidency that will be in charge of ruling this country, and I mean the numbers were very telling, and I'm so pissed. Okay, so let's talk about a few things that have been going on, because collectively the entirety of the internet was like, what the frick, right? So Donald J. Trump, who best known for his failed entrepreneurial pursuits, his time on The Apprentice. He's been a character in the media for a really long time. Granted, The Simpsons were right again, and I don't know how I feel about it. We're just gonna bring this all the way over here because I'm struggling right now. So, he went up against who is our current Vice President, Kamala Harris. And mind you, this woman, while a lot in the Democratic left did not agree to policies of the current government under Joe Biden and her as vice president, particularly pertaining to their response or lack thereof when it came to the conflict in Gaza, of Israel bombing Gaza and everything that's been going on between the current Zionist government and Hamas, right? So people are very understandably upset. That's one factor of all of this. The other factor in what I feel geared the results had a lot to do with the migrant quote-unquote crisis that we had as far as the Venezuelan population that was taking over pretty much all of the blue states because the red states were kicking everybody out. So there's that. The thing with it is, right, and so here's an actual result of the fucking polls, and when I tell you my blood boils, the amount of Latino men and women that voted in favor of a man that has vehemently stated that he's going to do mass deportations, that hates women's rights, that hates the fucking government. Honestly, there was an insurrection. Why is this man going to be like at the pinnacle of democracy and clearly doesn't want to keep it because he stated many times that he will be the last president, insinuating towards around the lines of dictatorship realistically. Anywho, the amount, first off, thank you black women, thank you black men that did not vote for Donald Trump, that voted for Kamala. I think this election made a few things very glaringly obvious when it comes to society in the U.S. Okay? One, and this is something my best friend and I talked about. She was like, they will always choose someone for a position except a black woman, even if she is extremely qualified for said position, right? And she's not wrong. The other thing, the glaring obviousness of ignorance when it comes to the candidacies, as well as very not being able to look at the big picture of things when it comes to policies, laws, women's rights, migrants' rights, all of it. I'm fucking behooved, okay, at just the insanity of it all. So this is the palette we're using for our eyes today, by the way. But congrats, Gwen Stefani, for being pregnant. So random. It's the Gwen Stefani palette. We will get into like the specifics of Project 2025, which a lot of Trump supporters have stated that they can't wait for. They're so excited for. And I am so just like, fuck. We are McFucked. Like, anywho. That'll be next week's episode when we get more into that. But when it comes to the Latino vote, I'm not surprised. And I hate that. I hate that I'm not shocked about it. Granted, there was a lot of talk around how, like, Kamala's stance and lack thereof attention towards what is happening to the Palestinian people pushed a lot of the narrative. I don't think it's not that simple. It's not just that either. My issue with it, okay, is that I'm not surprised because a lot of the rhetoric that was around, if there was one thing that Donald J. Trump could count on when it came to the Latino vote, was how ingrained colorism is in the Latino community, how ingrained machismo is in the Latino community, and how heavily he could depend on Latino against Latino hate. Because when all the Venezuelan migrants came to the States, granted, there was a giant outcry regarding everything that was being given to them in these sanctuary cities by the governments in power. And everyone's like, it's the Democrats, it's the Democrats. No, it is part of living in sanctuary cities, in states with sanctuary cities. Like, there are certain benefits that are received, but the resounding issue was that a lot of these benefits were given as a country, right? The U.S. has and always been a country of not only colonization, but heavy immigration, right? We have always had migrants. And on The Daily Show, okay, he made a and if you guys have not seen the clip of him, like, expressing his anger, realistically, is in the most eloquent way, you should go watch it, because he goes over how, like, this has happened throughout American history. Just swaths of hating on anyone that did not fit the current narrative of perfection or whatever the fuck, right? But also discussing, like, how it has shifted over the years of who is seen as indesirable number one in this country when it comes to those that are not from here. And he's like, it's crazy because it was said about various nationalities over the years, right? So I'm not shocked by the vote. I'm not shocked about the way people voted. I wish I could say that I was, but I'm really not. It is very known that Eurocentric features are preferred in the Latino community, that whiteness is seen as more beautiful, more likable, although we have a Virgin that we praise because she is morena, because she showed up and spoke our indigenous tongue to help prevent the further onslaught in Mexico of the indigenous tribes. But paleness is exalted over more traditional, more indigenous features for those of darker complexions. It's a thing. It's a thing that was built off of a caste system. A caste system that in a lot of our native countries was brought upon by those that we were colonized by. That basically the caste system broke down of, like, how close you were to the Spaniards. If you were 50%, you were seen, like, it's like mestizo, like all of those, right? These are things that are still very held on to. Machismo is essentially not... It is the subservience of women to the men in the culture to the nth degree, although the women in the culture are the ones that essentially rule the homes. That's a whole other can of worms. I'm not surprised by the vote. A lot of the rhetoric, as I stated, was all of our people that live here, right, that are already here, are suffering, have not gotten these resources. I heard so many times, my parents didn't get those resources. They had to struggle and they had to fight, and you know what makes them so fucking special, and blah, 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 and they're taking this and they're doing that and they're causing crime and chaos. Granted, yes, there was an influx of crime. Yes, there are migrants that came over that did cause chaos. And it is a tale as old as time, and so fucking sad that for the few, the large majority always end up losing out, because there are those that did come, just like our families before us, in search of a better life, in search of a better future, seeking asylum, seeking a sanctuary, seeking a place to start again. And what the now, not yet, but in January presidential administration was counting on was the fact that as a society, right, as a society as a whole, the community would latch and fight with each other versus seeking retribution of the governments that are in power. And not to say that it was a lack of effort, because there were, meetings and protests and all these things and a search for accountability. And seeing some of the comments current people in power here in the city of Chicago, I am just like, whew, that's gonna, Chicago politics is gonna be a whole other thing that I'm gonna cover on a different episode. But I'm not surprised by the way that the vote went. I am saddened by how quickly we forget everything that was stated during his first term as president. Everything that he stated about building a wall, about the detention centers, about injecting other things because COVID wasn't real. Even though many individuals lost family members to it, there are still COVID deniers out there, which pisses me personally the fuck off. Not only because I had that shit more times than I wish I did. Working as an essential employee, you're more pre-exposed. But which is why I said it was ironic that I was wearing my PJ shirt right now, because it's literally one that I bought for my birthday that year. Quarantined birthday queen. Good old quarantine buff ties. I'm not shocked. Am I horrified by it? Yeah. Does it piss me off? Also, yeah. But I cannot sit here, my lovely hummingbirds, and tell you that I am genuinely surprised. It sickens me, right? Because all the men that voted for this person, who is a essentially felon, but felons can't vote, who has said women should just be grabbed by the vagine, does not care about women's rights, was voted for by women. And all of the rhetoric that I've heard around it is that that's what I put on my face. It looks like a little baby deodorant. Is that, he's going to improve the economy. The universe was like, think of your words very carefully, how you phrase this, Monroe. I'm like, I would like to say that his first term, whether it is the universe, God, or the powers that be that control everything, decided it was better to have a global pandemic. A global fucking pandemic than have this man in power. Okay. So there's that. Am I going for a slightly very basic look today? Yes. Is this a lot pastier than I intended it to be on my skin? A little. So we're gonna bronze my life away. Hold on. I gotta go find my bronzer. Here's my thing, right, about the whole improving the economy thing. The way government works, okay, is a lot of the policies that we end up living for the following term are not of the standing government. They are policies, features, laws, clauses, things that were enacted by the previous administration, for the most part. So, this meant, yes, I'm bronzing the entirety of my face. I'm gonna be a glowing goddess today. But, right, so I heard, what are you using? Hi, my lovely hummingbirds, it's poppin'. I be channeling sometimes during makeup and motivation. Patrick Top. It is, you know, the lighting in here. I need to get my, like, big lights back from freaking storage. Can you see that? ED. It is typically the previous administration and their policies that we end up living for the following term. Biden's administration has not only been undoing a lot of the chaos of the previous administration, dealing with their own shit of their current administration, as well as trying to enact policies that would protect a lot of our rights for the next 4 years. The administration to enter has already started to blockade a lot of these policies. Not just that, Trump has openly spoken about, as I mentioned, mass deportation. And, like, the thing that stresses me about that is, what was the thought process there of, like, oh, he's gonna bring control to the border and he's gonna do mass deportation of what, just the Venezuelan individuals that came here in the past year? Be so fucking for real. Be so fucking for real. The biggest thing that stresses me, right, about, because I can truly, really only speak for the Latino community because I am Mexicana. And it is what I have seen over the years, and, you know, I'm more directly aware of certain aspects versus, like, other things that I might learn via secondhand measures. But what stresses me about the Latino community is the pick-me energy. To bring it down to new age terms, the pick-me energy that comes up every time around election season. You can be the palest blonde-haired, blue-eyed Latina, and you will never be white. You won't be. You can choose them every fucking time, and you will not be them, because they will never see you as such, because you will always have Latino blood. And the thought that, like, this is the man that removed DACA, okay, mind you, who was just voted in, the man that would rather take out students, okay, and all of their opportunities away because they weren't born here, or they were born to immigrants, or they were brought at a very young age and for one reason or another could not obtain their citizenship, right? And if you're on Spotify and you're just hearing me go it's every time I show a product. That's what it is. But again, by the what the fuck of the entire universe, he won again. And I am upset, to say the least. You know, I should have probably put this on earlier. It's my little makeup headband so that I don't get it on my hairline, but oh well. Too late now. And some of the things that have been, like, going around the internet is, like, not just what Project 2025 emphasizes and the attack on women and everything that that's going to do for reproductive health, because it has already started. Thankfully, the ban on abortion was revoked in, I think, 9 states, which, like, fucking yay. And one of my besties, love her to bits, sent me a video on TikTok of a law that Democratic, what's the word I'm looking for? Governors, yes. Governors in states are trying to enact in order to give, people in blue states essentially a peace of mind and safety when it comes to their reproductive laws. If you're sitting here, my lovely hummingbirds, as a Latino or a Latina, and you're like, I'm so shocked, I can't believe that's how they voted. Either you are surrounded by just wholesome, great, amazing people of our culture your entire life, or you have willfully ignored not just history, but just everything being said. It saddens me as a Latina woman. I'm not gonna lie, it broke my fucking heart. It pissed me off and broke my heart because, like, what's that one kid, fucking Nick something, that was talking shit, like, he went on the internet and said some dumb shit of, like, oh, men win again, your body, our choice type of shit, and, like, mind you, he has thousands of followers saying, and he says a lot of bigotry shit, which, like, for all my ladies out there, for all my cis women, my bi women that want to date men, your first question should be, who the fuck did you vote for? But anywho, I saw this TikToker that was like, what's the best thing about being bi? I'm gonna eat so much munch. I can't. But Nick dude, right, got doxxed on the internet for what he said against women, and the fact that his rhetoric pushed the attack on a lot of women. I saw Rachel Cargill, who's this amazing black creator. She's incredible. She is an educator. She does so much, has foundations. She just made another one for BIPOC women when it comes to, like, help, essentially, after these elections. And there was this, like, mass message being sent out to young black girls at schools about, like, they were gonna get picked up essentially for cotton picking and things of that nature, and it sickened me because what the actual fuck. So he gets doxxed, and everyone was kind of like, it's very interesting how this man gets doxxed for everything he said against women, and the place that he runs to was his mother's house, who is a woman. I am appalled, to say the least, with all of it. And I cannot wait to see what the fuck happens next. And if you're like, wait, Monroe, what do you mean you can't wait to see what the fuck happens next? I can't wait. So, here's the haha, not so haha kind of thing about it all, right? So, my bestie and I, one of my besties, we were talking about all of it, the elections, the energy. Y'all know me, I'm spiritual. If you're new here and you didn't know I was spiritual, I am very spiritual. I have a whole other series on this channel called A Grain of Salt, where I do readings and talk about I dropped my eyeliner. Things that go on in the world regarding planetary alignments and all that good stuff. Pluto is now entering Aquarius. Pluto, besides Saturn, is a planet of karma. It is a planet of justice. It represents Scorpio. It represents death. And not like physical deaths, but more so metaphoric for the sake of growth and things of that nature. Pluto only changes planetary positions every 20 years. And for all my cardinal signs, bitch, finally, we are out of the fray. But that is a whole other thing for a grain of salt. I think, and this was also a conversation, I've been having a lot of conversations about this election in recent times, but this was... So Aquarius essentially represents awakening. Awakening in society. Yes, spiritual pursuits, but also societal ones. And everything to do with the status quo. And I don't mean like High School Musical, like... You know, I had never seen those movies, and I, like, ended up watching them. Because people were so baffled that I hadn't, and I was like, that's crazy. And then I watched them, and I was like, crazy. Anyway. And now that song occasionally lives rent-free in my mind, I'm not gonna lie to you. But, this is my Urban Decay 24/7 in the shade Perversion eyeliner. I got this on behalf of Influencer. Thank you, Influencer. But so long ago, and I am holding on for dear life. I could just get a new one at work, but still, holding on for dear life. There's a very big shift happening, and the morning of the election, I think the collective felt it heavily. I saw so many things online, so many things were shared with me, because I woke up at 4 in the fucking morning, sick. Something felt wrong. I was like, I hate this. I hate this feeling, and I was like, don't look at your fucking phone because you will cry. You will be pissed. Of course, I did not listen and looked at my phone, and then I couldn't fucking fall asleep anyway because I went to look at the election results. It felt wrong. And a lot of the spiritual girlies had said, you know, like, he's not going to win, she's going to win. Speaking of Kamala and Trump. And people were like, oh, but the Astro girl. And I'm like, yes, because she probably did. The thing is, there has been a lot of conspiracy around the election results as a whole. And the fact that a lot of the ballot boxes were burned in other states. Ballots weren't counted, went missing, etc. People have gone to check and their votes weren't counted. Things of that nature. And it just... it brings back memory of things that Trump said during his campaign of, like, he wouldn't need his voters' actual votes. He was like, we got this, blah blah blah. People are stating that Mr. Tesla himself helped him, Elon Musk, and that, you know, there's something much larger at play of, like, why he won in the first place. Y'all know me, and you know I love a good conspiracy. But when there are so many coincidences in what can be deemed a conspiracy, well, we, in recent times especially, have started to see that a lot of conspiracies aren't that conspiratorial and hold some basis in truth. And I've seen so many people on the left, right, that voted left, that voted blue, saying, like, I hate to sound like them, like last election, that, you know, we got robbed, but the math ain't math in here. And I am quite inclined to agree. Did I spend the first few days crying, upset, pissed, going through all the stages of grief? Absolutely. There's a creator here in Chicago, and I can't remember his name. I saw his video in passing. Not just him, but, like, Nicki Marina and others that have said, like, this is not the time to lose your shit, right? This is not the time to lose hope, to be reactive, because that is what is wanted. That is what is expected. Compulsory responses. Yes, feel your rage because you're entitled to it. Feel your feelings because you're entitled to it. But especially if you have a platform. you have been given the opportunity to lead and to guide and to do all these things for a reason to do that. And this other creator here, he basically said, he's like, this is, granted, the solace in all of this is that he will not run again. But when it comes to those that are fighting for people's rights, those that are fighting for equality and justice and democracy and the right of choice, right? Because people are like, oh, but this, and the third. My whole issue with those who did not vote for Kamala is the following. Under one presidency, we had the right to choose. Under, I was about to say the regime that is about to enter, but that just sounds very looming and I don't like it. About the administration that is going to enter come January. This is the same man that wanted to go against freedom of speech. This is the same man that wants to get rid of TikTok, mind you. That started all of that. All those trials, that policy to ban it, to remove it, to all that. This is the same man that wants to indict every single person that has ever spoken against him, his presidency, his cabinet. So we have taken the ability to speak our minds and say what we want to occur and to fight for, and it's been taken away. And granted, I am still under the belief that Kamala should not have conceded so easily, because since when in the history of the US of A have votes ever been counted that fucking quickly? I do not recall. Not in my lifetime. But here we are. All that we can do, my lovely hummingbirds, when it comes to this, when it comes to everything that's happening, is keep moving, keep pushing, keep doing, and know that it will get better, and know that all we can do is continue as a collective what we have been doing, which is fighting for each other's rights and supporting one another and moving forward with what comes next. We're gonna use this bad boy. Am I appalled? Hell yeah. Am I upset? Very. As a Latina, daughter of immigrants that is first generation, I am feeling all the feelings. And I cannot say that surprise for how things were voted upon is one of them. And it saddens me. Yes, I am adding powder over my liner. And yes, I am smooshing this out. We're gonna find a way to blend this, but I don't know. All I can say is keep hope, keep faith, keep doing what you're doing, and what is meant to take place and occur will. What will come of this will be and I've seen this in so many places, and it's been said so many times, but beautiful pieces of art, beautiful pieces of work, creations, and a fervor of all those fighting for mankind, for us to have the right of choice. Anywho, on the topic of choice, today's topic of conversation is the parentified daughter. And I know I mentioned that I wanted to talk about that probably a little later on, but considering we did miscommunication in the family unit last episode, I just thought how fitting. I didn't really have too many examples to use, or that I could readily think of as far as characters I could portray. Some of the ones that did pop up upon my initial searches were Luisa from Encanto, who is the firstborn of the girls, of the Madrigal girls. Where did I leave that brush? Or on the slightly chaotic, more aggressive spectrum of it, Fiona Gallagher from Shameless. So if you're watching me, my lovely hummingbirds, hi. You either were somebody told me about this silly little thing called pop culture, or ignore the chaos that is my makeshift background right now. You either stumbled upon this because it was recommended, you've ran into me at some point in life, and I'm the one being I have a podcast, you should go tune in. It's super cutesy. I do makeup looks and do reviews and do all this shit, and also talk about mental health I can't say solely mental health, because I do go more into the spiritual aspects of things and things of that nature, life, love, journey, and self-healing. But what are you doing, Monroe? I am redrawing my freaking birthmarks that I have naturally. And when I shift my face, I can see the little raises of where they naturally are, so I can repaint them back on my face. One of my besties says I have a literal constellation on my face, which is so funny, because if I connect them, if you look at the constellation of Cancer, which is my sun sign, no denying it now, that was so random. What am I channeling? So, if you felt called to this video, it was either because you had to hear somebody else vent and voice your frustrations when it came to election season, or it's because of the next section, which is the parentified daughter. What is a parentified daughter? So we are going to get into the differences of a parentified daughter and a parentified son. But overall, parentification as a whole is enacting responsibilities of the adult parent guardian figure in the household and placing them upon the youth, upon the children in the home, whether it is the eldest, in Luisa's and Fiona's cases, or the children that are just at home most often, or those that end up having to take charge of the parents in their later years. I told you I was gonna be super glowy today. I'm so it's gloomy outside. I need to shine. I need to sparkle, baby. Sparkle. Also, hi, if you're new here. I am very fucking weird. I have my little spurts of chaos, to put it lightly. So, also, the reason why I'm doing this makeup look, besides the fact that I'm getting ready for work, like I said, I couldn't think of a thing to mention, and also I want to do a red lip. And I was like, I don't feel like getting too creative, so we're just gonna do this and put on my red label lipstick from Milani Cosmetics. And yeah, because makeup in itself is a right that was earned over the years. And I love wearing red because it went from a staple of military women with victory red in the 40s to a staple of women living their rights and being independent and all that good shit, because it was for a long time due to men men and their ways of thinking on placings of it on society, the color of hookers and sin and lust, and I just find it absolutely hilarious. Like the good Lord did not say in the Bible, if thou be tempted by a woman, gouge out thy eyes. But anywho, we're gonna use my little Kosas powder that I sadly dropped and it cracked everywhere, so it's gonna be flipped over. I'm so scared of opening this and it just exploding. Please don't explode. Wow, I can't open it. I am trembling when it comes to today's topic of conversation because I'm just like, say anything but. So, parentification in the household is, like I stated, putting the responsibilities of the parent or guardian on the children. That does not always mean simply financial responsibilities, but also caregiving ones. So the reason why like Luisa and what's her face, Fiona, are two like prime examples of that is because they are the eldest that end up being put in charge of their younger siblings. It's like Carmen in Spy Kids when she like tells, who the fuck was she telling? I can't remember, but she's like, you know, it's always up to Carmen to do everything right and teach Junie right from wrong and do this and do that, and having to be like that poster example of perfection when they're babies, you know. And I literally can't open this. I'm about to use a different powder. I said I'm about to use a different powder and it opened up. Universe was like, I said no. I said use that one. Okay. See, I dropped it and it went kaput. Me. So that is what parentification is as a whole. Now, the parentified daughter and the parentified son do face different responsibilities, so to speak, which is why I want to do them in 2 separate episodes. But today we are doing the parentified daughter. For the parentified daughter, the responsibilities revolve around that of what a mother would be in the home, which would be caregiver, nurturer, emotional support, attention, responsibilities around making meals, and if both parents are absent, it would then lead to responsibilities of not only caregiving for one or both parents, but also, you know who's also a really good example of this, and it sickened me? Belle from Beauty and the Beast, because her dad, she takes care of that man. Like, I mean, you see her doing everything around the farm, but also doing everything in the home and making sure that, like, you know, he works on his projects or whatever, but that he doesn't blow them up. And she has to take on this, like, extra thing where all she craves at the end of the day is being away from it all and being free. And that is a very common theme. Parentified daughters often feel abandoned, neglected, like the weight of the world is on them. and are more likely than not to fall into caregiver roles, not just for their parents and siblings, but also in their relationships later on in life. They are the ones most likely to develop control issues. I'm gonna gag right now. Ugh, it's like my therapist is reading me. And now we're gonna put share my dish by the boy over it because I want to glow today. My mommy gave me this fan. Isn't it so pretty? Little butterflies on it. But parentification can happen for various reasons. Sometimes very in control of the caregivers in the home, and others very out of their control. Parentification can happen whether it is because of neglect, traumatic experiences such as abuse, whether it is verbal, mental, physical, where that is when the kid has to then step up and be, defender and parent and savior and all these things and deal with all the emotions. It can also happen in situations of chronic illness, in situations that are out of control of those within the home, or if a child has to take extra responsibility for themselves due to lack of understanding, awareness, inability to comprehend the depth of the situation, things of that nature. Parentification also happens when a lot of responsibility is done in the home, or say the parents, and I feel like this is something that is very common in BIPOC families, because the parents are out here trying to make a better life for their kids and working 2, 3, 4 jobs, or the home gets broken and things like that, and the kids have to essentially fend for themselves and survive, and don't ever really get a chance to live what is deemed a normal or regular childhood. Now, for the parentified daughter, how does this impact in later in life? Relationships ain't it. Okay, because they never really got an example of what a relationship should be. It was either always very chaotic, or it ended up being it was either very chaotic, or it ended up being they never got an example of what nurturing and care was supposed to be by either parent, so they go outside of themselves and look for it in other ways. Parentified daughters are more likely to do self-harm and partake in substance abuse later on. They are more likely to live in vicarious or frivolous relationships, not really thinking things through, really in a controlled route of escapism, because they want to control everything, because their life, the basis, the foundation of their life felt so out of control all the time. Granted, they will be once healed, some of the most resilient, strong, incredible people out there. That hurt is very real, and it's very ingrained, and oftentimes will look for in a partner the missing parent, or the person that it can be either the missing parent, the parent that was in the home, that they're still in this traumatic sense of I can fix them, it'll be different with me type of thing, or somebody completely opposite. Parentification can also be the thing that most readily leads a parentified daughter to go no contact. On the more toxic and sad spectrum, it can be a repetition of a cycle, lack of empathy, not really knowing how to process or handle complex emotions and feelings, not really knowing how to say no or build stable boundaries, and really feeling like they have to control everyone and everything in their lives, including friendships and romantic partners. Because in their mind, they're the only ones that know how to properly do or handle situations and how to fix them. For all my parentified daughters, for all the eldest born, for all those that had to take on the role of caregiver, whether in their lives, their siblings' lives, or etc., or their parents' lives, taking on the role of parent. It is not your job to heal the world all the time. It is not your job. I saw this thing on the internet where it said, like, all my firstborn, all my parentified daughters, it's not your job to heal the country after the results of this election. And I wept. I was like, ooh, that hurts. A parentified kid grows up too fast. They're the kids that don't really ever get to be a kid. They're the kids that, if healed, will go to bat to try to make sure that their children never endure what they did. Because they don't want anyone to go what they went through. As a parentified daughter, mine was more of a circumstantial situation because of my endo. I know it's hard. I know those control issues have a nasty little way of sneaking up on you, and the anxiety of questioning every step and every moment because you're so unsure if it's the right one. Because you want someone to give you that validation and say good job. Because all you had to do was wing it your whole life and give yourself all the allotting and the props for things you know you worked hard on. For all my parentified children out there that go through life daily with no support or are estranged from those that were meant to take care of them because they don't readily see what you're doing or support your dream or vision, you are not alone. And I know I just heard the collective, well, that fucking sucks, actually. I know. What can you do as a parentified kid? Heal. And I don't mean just heal in the sense of like the self-care and the self-love and all that. I mean, one of the biggest things, right, for me personally, is being self-aware. And it really comes down to the whole control aspect of it. It's something that one of my besties said when we were talking about the elections and life. And she basically said something along the lines of control the controllable and essentially let go of what isn't. Heal that need to always know every single step of the way, every single time. Heal the need to want to control others to do what you view as best based on your perception of a situation and allow people to experience and be. Understand that not everyone is you, and we are all on this planet having our own divine human experiences. And know that even though things are not always certain, and they are quite complex 90% of the time, but the other 90% of the time, and you're like, Monroe, that's 180, I know. All you can do is work on that hyper independence, okay? Because sometimes people do genuinely love you and want to help you. Trust me, I'm working on it too, baby. Work on because I know, like, that feeling of, like, if I didn't do it, it would never get done. I'm tired of being let down. Sometimes you just gotta give a little. We're all learning. We're all growing. We're all on this planet together. We're gonna get more into, like, Chiron and the Wounded Healer in an episode of A Grain of Salt, because it's just, I'm hearing things and I need to, put it out there. But control what you can, let go of what you can't. And I don't mean, like, let go, discard everything, cut all ties. No, that is also a hyper-independent reaction, and you gotta let go of that. Allow yourself to flow, to love. Ooh, but I go like this when I said that. Allow yourself to love. Allow yourself to be loved. Allow yourself to accept external pampering. Allow yourself to heal the spaces in which you feel good, but then you're like, why does this feel good? This is bad. No. Allow yourself to be loved in the ways you've always dreamed of. That hyper independence is a bitch. Definitely heal that. And know that as a parentified daughter, it's okay to say no. In your big girl age, it's okay to say no. It's okay to set those boundaries. It's okay to be honest with yourself, especially of what you can and cannot handle. You don't have to live in burnout for your entire existence. That's not healthy. It is okay to go through all the stages of grief for what you experienced, but it is also okay to understand why it happened, where it came from, where these actions of those that were meant to love and nurture you came from. It's okay to forgive and not want to repeat those cycles. It's okay to live and grow and heal and do for you. And it's okay to have had made mistakes in the past. And it is okay to know that you never want to repeat them. We have one life, as far as we know. Your only job in it is to live and make the most of it. And love every single fucking second of it. Even the gross bits. Because the gross bits usually lead to really beautiful moments. As one parentified daughter to the other, even in an unclear road and an unclear future, the one thing that remains clear is you have made it this far, and you will continue to, until you live the absolutely beautiful and abundant life that you deserve, because you deserve it. Don't be afraid. Fear is your biggest deterrent. And your control issues are fear-based too, so unpack that. Move forward in trust. Move forward in faith. If you believe in God. If you only believe in self, then you're depriving yourself of your greatest abundance if you don't believe in you. And keep going. For some of you, I heard you're almost there. Just a little more. It's going to be okay. And while those responsibilities that were placed on you at a young age were not fair and not in your control, you're no longer there. So it is time to move forward and heal from them. And if you are called to, show and teach others. But if not, it's okay to be a little selfish in life. And if you haven't seen that episode where we talk about that in pop culture, go watch it. Anyways, that's it for me and my ramblings for the day. I love you all so much, my lovely hummingbirds. As always, les mando mucha paz, muchos besos. Y les recuerdo que miren hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many Kisses, reminding to always look up at the moon. I love you all so much. I'll catch you on the next one. And oh yeah, like, share, subscribe, all of that. It helps the channel. It helps me getting like exposure and all of that. Comment what your favorite style of makeup and motivation is. I know I have a few different ones up there when it comes to like the makeup application, all that. And yeah, okay, that's it. I love you. Have a good one. Bye.